The afternoon light cut through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my apartment, the one on Fifth Avenue that my husband and I bought 20 years ago. I stood in the doorway watching my daughter-in-law Miranda arrange furniture like she owned the place. She turned to face me, arms crossed, chin lifted. That familiar smirk played at the corner of her mouth. "Mum, we already rented out the apartment. It'll belong to us in the future anyway, so what's the problem if we sell or lease it early?" My son David stood beside her, nodding like a dashboard bobblehead, refusing to meet my eyes. I smiled. Calm, measured. The kind of smile that makes people nervous when they're smart enough to recognize danger. "Is that so? Then let me tell you something." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. And back then, I really believed she was a well-mannered girl. It was 3 years ago when David first brought Miranda home for dinner. She wore a modest dress, brought flowers, and spoke in soft, respectful tones that melted my husband Richard's heart immediately. "Mrs. Patterson, thank you so much for having me. David talks about you constantly." She smiled at me, eyes warm and genuine. Or, so I thought. She helped me clear the table without being asked. She laughed at Richard's terrible jokes. She even asked about the family photos on the mantel, listening intently as I explained each one. "You have such a beautiful family," she said, touching my arm gently. "I hope someday I can be part of it." Richard beamed. "She's lovely, Catherine. Absolutely lovely." Even I was charmed. David had dated his share of self-absorbed girls, the kind who spent dinner scrolling through their phones. Miranda seemed different, mature, grounded. "Mom, don't worry," she told me one evening, helping me arrange flowers in the living room. "When David and I get married, I'll take care of you forever. You and Mr. Patterson won't have to worry about anything." I patted her hand, genuinely moved. "That's sweet of you, dear." We were fools. Complete, absolute fools. And the mask began to slip 6 months after the wedding. It started small. A comment here, a suggestion there. "Mum, don't you think this living room feels a bit outdated? Maybe we could modernize it a little." I smiled politely. "Richard and I like it the way it is." She pursed her lips but said nothing more. That day, the next week, I came home to find her measuring the walls. "What are you doing?" "Oh, just getting ideas," she smiled brightly, "for when we renovate." "Miranda, this is our home. We're not renovating." She laughed, light and airy. "Not now, obviously, but eventually. This will all be ours anyway, right?" Something cold slithered down my spine. Then came the incident with Elena, our housekeeper of 15 years. I returned from my book club to find Elena in tears packing her things. "Elena, what happened?" She looked at me, eyes red. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm so sorry. Your daughter-in-law said you no longer need my services." "She what?" Miranda appeared in the doorway, completely unbothered. "Mom, we need to talk about the household staff. I don't like strangers walking around our home." "Our home? This is my home, Miranda." Eleanor stays. Her eyes flashed with something dark. Just for a second. Then the sweet smile returned. "Of course, Mom. I overstepped. I'm sorry." But her voice held no apology. Eleanor stayed, but Miranda made her life miserable. Critical comments. Impossible standards. Eventually, Elena came to me herself. "Mrs. Patterson, I think it's time for me to retire. My daughter wants me to move closer to her family, anyway." We both knew the truth, but Elena was too dignified to say it. After she left, I confronted David. "Your wife drove Elena away." "Mom, that's not fair. Miranda just has different standards." "Different standards?" "David, Elena was family." He sighed. That new habit of his, like I was the unreasonable one. "Can you try to get along with her? For me?" That's when I knew. My son was lost to me, at least for now. And Miranda's entitlement grew like mold in darkness. She started referring to everything as ours. When we remodel our kitchen, once we repaint our bedroom. "I'm thinking about changing our living room layout." Each time I corrected her. Each time she smiled and apologized. Each time I knew she didn't mean it. She moved her belongings into the main living areas, claiming the guest room closets weren't big enough. Her shoes lined the entryway. Her makeup scattered across my bathroom counter. Her workout equipment appeared in the study. "Miranda, please move these things to your room." "Oh, sorry, Mom. I just thought since we all live here together we could share the space." Richard started spending more time at the office. I started spending more time anywhere else. Then came the conversation that should have been a warning. Miranda cornered me in the kitchen one morning, coffee cup in hand. "Mom, David and I have been thinking, when you and Dad pass, and I hope that's not for a very long time, of course, but when that happens, it makes sense for everything to transfer to us, right?" I stirred my tea slowly. "That's a conversation for another time, Miranda. I just think it would be smart to plan ahead. Maybe you could sign some things over now, for tax purposes." "I'll discuss our estate plans with our attorney when appropriate." Her smile tightened. "Of course, just trying to help." The call came from Gerald, the building manager of our apartment unit across town. We'd known him for 20 years, ever since we bought the place as an investment property. He was loyal, observant, and one of the few people I truly trusted. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm sorry to bother you, but there's something you should know." My stomach knotted. "What is it, Gerald?" "Someone moved into your unit last week, a young family. They said your daughter-in-law arranged everything." The room tilted slightly. "I see. Thank you for letting me know." "Mom, I wanted to check with you first before I did anything. They have a lease agreement with her signature, but I noticed yours wasn't on it." "You did the right thing calling me, Gerald. I'll handle this." I hung up and sat very still. Richard found me there an hour later, staring at nothing. "Catherine, what's wrong?" I told him everything. His face went from confusion to anger to cold determination. "Where are they now?" "At the apartment. I asked Gerald to arrange a meeting." "Good." He grabbed his jacket. "Let's go." Which brings me back to this moment. Miranda standing in my apartment, the one she's apparently been renting out behind my back, acting like she's done nothing wrong. "It's not a big deal," she says, examining her nails. "You and Dad never use this place. We need the money more than you do." The tenant, a nervous young woman holding a baby, shifts uncomfortably near the door. Gerald stands beside her, his face carefully neutral. David finally speaks up, his voice pleading. "Mom, don't make this a big issue. We're family. Sharing is normal." "Sharing," I repeat slowly. "Is that what you call forging rental agreements and stealing my property?" Miranda laughs. Actually laughs. "Stealing? That's dramatic. Look, why don't we just make this official? Transfer the apartment to us. You don't need it and it'll save everyone paperwork down the road." Richard's hand finds mine. His grip is tight, controlled fury radiating from him. I reach into my purse and pull out a folder, place it carefully on the coffee table. "What's that?" Miranda's confidence wavers just slightly. "Ownership documents. Every property Richard and I own. This apartment, the house you're living in, the vacation home in Maine. All of it." I open the folder, spreading the papers across the table. Official stamps, notarized signatures, legal and binding. "Notice anything interesting, Miranda?" She leans forward, scanning the documents. Her face goes pale. "These are all in your names." "Correct. Mine and Richard's. Not yours. Not David's." David steps forward. "Mom, we know that. But we're your only son. Eventually is not now, David." Richard's voice cuts through the room like ice. "And any rental agreement without Catherine's signature is legally worthless." Miranda's hands shake as she picks up the lease she signed. "But I have tenants. They paid first and last month's rent. Money you'll need to return," I say calmly, "since you had no legal right to rent this property." The young woman with the baby speaks up, voice trembling. "She told us she was the owner. She showed us photos, talked about her mother-in-law letting her manage the property." "I'm that mother-in-law," I say gently, And I never authorized any of this. Gerald, would you mind helping this young family with the situation? Of course, Mrs. Patterson. Gerald guides the confused tenant toward the door, speaking softly about refunds and alternative housing options. When they're gone, silence fills the apartment. Miranda tries one more time. This is ridiculous. We're family. You're treating us like criminals. You are a criminal, Richard says flatly. You committed fraud. Dad, David starts. Enough. Richard's voice thunders through the room, and even I jump slightly. He's normally so calm, so measured, but his patience has finally shattered. Pack your things, both of you. We're having a serious discussion at the main house, now. Then that evening, Richard and I sit side by side on the sofa we picked out together 30 years ago. David and Miranda face us from the chairs opposite, looking like children called to the principal's office. The room feels different now, heavier, like the air before a storm. I speak first, my voice steady despite the pain in my chest. Your father and I are moving out. David's head snaps up. What? Mom? No. And we're withdrawing all financial support. Miranda's mouth falls open. You can't be serious. Richard leans forward, elbows on his knees. If you want a life together, build it yourselves. Not on our backs. Not on our generosity. Not on property you don't own. But the house, David gestures around wildly. Where will you go? We have the main property. We'll live there. I fold my hands in my lap, proud of how calm I sound. This house will remain in our names, but you two are welcome to stay here under one condition. Miranda's eyes light up with hope. You pay fair market rent, every month, on time, like any other tenant. The hope dies. Mum, we can't afford that, David admits. My salary alone. Then I suggest you figure it out. Get a second job. Miranda, perhaps you could find employment instead of playing house with property that isn't yours. Miranda's face flushes red. This is insane. You're punishing us for theft? I interrupt. For fraud? For disrespecting us in our own home? For treating our generosity like an inheritance you're entitled to before we're even gone? Richard stands and I rise with him. We've been married 35 years. We move like one person now. The apartment is not yours, I say, each word deliberate. The house is not yours. And from today on, neither of us will be your safety net. I look at my son, really look at him. Somewhere under that weak, manipulated shell is the boy I raised. The one who used to bring me wildflowers from the park, the one who cried in my arms when his goldfish died. A home isn't inherited through arrogance, David. It's earned through respect, something you've never shown. Miranda jumps to her feet. This is your fault, she hisses at me. You never accepted me. You never gave me a chance. I gave you every chance, I say quietly. You threw each one away. Richard heads for the door and I follow. At the threshold, I turn back one last time. We'll be moved out by the end of the week. Gerald will drop off the rental agreement for this house. Sign it or leave. Your choice. David's face crumbles. Mum, please, can't we talk about this? We just did. I close the door on my son's protests and my daughter-in-law's fury. In the car, Richard takes my hand. Are you all right? I think about the question. Really think about it. I will be. The main house is smaller than our primary home, but it sits right on the water. In the mornings, I watch the sun rise over the ocean while Richard makes coffee. We take long walks on the beach. We read books. We talk about travelling to all the places we've been too busy to visit. My phone rings constantly the first week. David calling, texting, begging. I let most of it go to voicemail. When I do answer, I'm polite but firm. Have you signed the rental agreement? Mum, please, let's just talk. Have you signed it? He hasn't. Neither has Miranda. The second week, the calls become angry. Miranda gets hold of my number somehow, leaves vicious voicemails about how cruel I am, how I'm tearing the family apart. How David's father would be ashamed. Richard is David's father. I say when I finally call her back, and he's standing right here completely supportive of every decision we've made. I block her number after that. By the third week, reality apparently sets in. Gerald sends me a message. Mom, your son came by today asking about the apartment rental income. I told him it was never his to begin with. He looked quite shocked. I can imagine. The money Miranda collected from that illegal rental agreement. Gone. Returned to the tenant she defrauded. Plus her own funds to cover the deposit she couldn't refund. Without our financial support, they face reality fast. David's salary barely covers their personal expenses. Miranda has no income. The house rental I'm asking for is more than they can manage. Gerald sends me updates occasionally. The young couple moved out of our main house. Too expensive, he heard through the building gossip network. They're renting a studio apartment across town now, much smaller, much less prestigious. One afternoon, my phone rings. David's number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Hello, David. Silence. Then, Mom, I'm sorry. More silence. I wait. I'm so sorry. For everything I should have seen. I should have known. His voice breaks. He's crying. Miranda left me. She said if I couldn't provide the lifestyle she expected, she wanted out. The divorce papers came yesterday. Part of me, the mother who kissed his scraped knees and sang him to sleep, wants to comfort him, to tell him it's okay, come home, we'll fix everything. But the woman who built a life through hard work and respect knows better. I'm sorry you're hurting, David. Can I see you, please? I look out at the ocean, at Richard reading on the porch, at the peace we've built in these few short weeks. Not yet. You have some growing up to do first. I know I do. He sniffles, trying to compose himself. I got a second job, bartending at night. I'm saving up to pay you back for the rental money, the damage to your relationship with that tenant family, everything. That's good, David. Mom, I just want you to know you were right about all of it. I was blind and stupid, and I let her manipulate me because I thought being married meant blindly supporting your spouse no matter what. I thought that's what loyalty was. Loyalty, I say softly, is supporting someone when they're right and helping them see truth when they're wrong. What you had wasn't loyalty, it was cowardice. He takes a shaky breath. Yeah, it was. We talk for a few more minutes. I don't forgive him. Not yet. But I listen. And when we hang up, I feel something that might eventually become hope. 6 months later, Gerald sends me a photo. It's of David, leaving the studio apartment in work clothes, looking tired but somehow more solid than before. More real. He's working hard, Mom. Really hard. I thought you'd want to know. I show Richard the photo. What do you think? He asks. I think he's learning what we learned 35 years ago, that nothing worth having comes easy. Another month passes. David sends me a message. Paid off the debt to the tenant family. Working on yours next. No excuses, no timeline requests. Just wanted you to know. I don't respond, but I save the message. Richard and I are having breakfast when the next call comes. David's number, but I almost don't recognize his voice. He sounds different, stronger. Mom, I'm not calling to ask for anything. I just wanted to say thank you. For what? For not enabling me. For not letting me turn into someone who thinks he deserves things he hasn't earned. For loving me enough to let me fall. My throat tightens. You're welcome, sweetheart. I have so much more to learn, so much more to prove. But I'm trying. I promise I'm trying. I know you are. When we hang up, Richard wraps his arms around me. You did good, Catherine. We did good. A year after everything fell apart, Gerald sends me another message. Mom, you look peaceful again. It suits you. I'm at the farmer's market in town buying fresh flowers for our table. The sun is warm, the breeze is cool, and Richard is meeting me for lunch in an hour. I text back, Thank you, Gerald. Peace suits me very well. That evening, David calls. We've been talking more regularly now, carefully rebuilding what was broken. He tells me about his new job, a promotion at his day position, about his therapy sessions, working through why he let Miranda walk all over him. And us. I'm learning to see manipulation before it takes root, he says, to value people who deserve it and set boundaries with people who don't. That's excellent, David. Mom, I know I don't have the right to ask, but could I visit? Just for a day. I want to see you and Dad. I want to show you I'm different now. I look at Richard, who's been listening to the conversation. He nods. Yes, David, you can visit. The relief in his voice makes my eyes sting with tears. When David arrives the following weekend, he stands on our porch holding a small bouquet of wildflowers, like he used to bring me when he was 7. Hi, Mom. I hug him and he holds on tight. Over dinner, he tells us everything. The divorce, messy and painful. Miranda's last attempts to claim property that was never hers. Her threats, her manipulation, her final cruel words. She told me I was nothing without your money, David says quietly. And I believed her for a while. But then I realized she was wrong. I'm not nothing. I'm just starting over. Richard raises his glass. Starting over with wisdom is better than staying comfortable in ignorance. We toast to that. Later, as David prepares to leave, he hands me an envelope. What's this? First payment. Toward what I owe you. It's not much, but it's honest money I earned myself. I try to hand it back, but he shakes his head. Please, Mom. Let me do this. Let me prove I understand now. So I take it. Because sometimes love means accepting someone's need to make amends. At the door, David hesitates. Mom, Dad, I'm going to spend the rest of my life being the son you deserved all along, I promise. After he leaves, I stand on the porch watching the ocean. Richard joins me, wrapping a blanket around both our shoulders. Think he'll make it? He asks. I think he already has. Everything else is just the journey. The waves crash against the shore, constant and eternal. We stand there together, two people who built a life on respect, hard work, and love. Real love, the kind that's willing to be tough when it needs to be. Miranda wanted a home she never earned. David learned that inheritance isn't about what you take. It's about what you become. And standing here, in the house we truly own, with the man I truly love, watching the ocean paint the sky in shades of gold and pink, I know one thing for certain. We chose right. We chose ourselves. We chose peace. And that choice will always, always be worth it.